It started with something ordinary, a search for a pen. That's all it was. I opened the drawer in our bedroom, the one Emily always kept so meticulously organized. But beneath a pile of old receipts and notebooks, I discovered a small leather-bound journal. I paused for a moment. It wasn't locked, yet it felt private, almost sacred. Even after 12 years of marriage, I had always respected her space. But lately, something had shifted. Late-night texts, secret smiles, that flicker of guilt in her eyes whenever I entered a room. I promised myself I wouldn't read it. I really did. But curiosity has a way of turning into suspicion, and suspicion is a fire that won't die until it's fed the truth. I sat down, opened the first page, and saw her handwriting, delicate, familiar, and yet distant. At first, the entries were innocent. Complaint about work, stress, exhaustion, the kids. But a few pages in, the tone changed. Softer, more intimate. She wrote about someone named Mark. I assumed he was a co-worker, at first. Then came the line that hollowed me out completely. I wish I could stop thinking about how he made me feel last night. I read it over and over. My hand began to tremble. Every paragraph after that was another blade. Secret lunches, excuses about late nights at work, the guilty pleasures she couldn't resist. I could barely breathe. Every word stripped away the woman I thought I knew, leaving only a stranger sharing my home and my bed. When I closed the diary, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there, staring at the wall, trying to comprehend how love could decay so quietly from the inside. That night, I watched her sleep beside me, serene, unaware that I now knew everything. She looked familiar, and yet I couldn't recognize her anymore. The next morning, I took the journal to my lawyer. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure, something clean, something final. The papers were drawn up in silence. That evening, when she came home, I handed her the envelope. She frowned, thinking it was mail, but when she opened it, her expression crumbled. "James, what is this?" I looked her in the eye. "It's the truth, written in your own words." Emily didn't speak for a long minute. Her hands shook as she held the papers, lips parting slightly, as if she wanted to explain but couldn't find the words. When she finally met my gaze, her eyes were red, wet, desperate. "James, please, it's not what you think," she whispered. That was when I realized how practiced lies sound when fueled by fear rather than guilt. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I simply asked, "Then tell me, who is Mark?" Her silence said everything. She sank into the dining table, palms covering her face. The same table where we celebrated birthdays and anniversaries, where our kids learned their first words. I watched her shoulders shake. For a fleeting second, I wanted to comfort her. But then I remembered every page, every meeting, every kiss she swore she didn't have time for with me. When she finally spoke, her voice was shattered. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I felt invisible, James. I didn't plan it invisible. That word struck harder than the betrayal itself. Years of overtime, family trips, building a life she claimed she wanted, all while she was writing a secret life that didn't include me. "I don't hate you," I said, "but I can't live with a version of you that hides behind lies." She reached across the table, trying to touch my hand. I pulled away. Her wedding ring gleamed in the dim kitchen light, a symbol that had lost its meaning. The next few days blurred. She tried to talk, to apologize, but I had moved into the guest room. The kids noticed, of course. Evan asked why Mommy was crying so much. Lily stopped joining us for dinner altogether. I tried to protect them. But the truth seeps into every corner, no matter how tightly you try to contain it. When I finally told them we were separating, Emily broke down completely, pleading with me not to turn them against her. I didn't have to. Children see more than we give them credit for. They notice the late nights, the muffled arguments, the distance long before I spoke the words. By the end of that week, she moved into her sister's. The house felt quieter, emptier, but oddly lighter, too. I had lost my wife, but in a strange way, I felt I had finally found the truth. 8 months had passed since that day. Paper signed. House divided. Silence sealed. I thought time would dull the pain, that routine would stitch me back together. But betrayal leaves a wound that doesn't bleed, yet never fully heals. Emily still calls sometimes. She says she wants to speak with the kids, to make things normal again. But nothing about this is normal. Evan refuses to speak to her, too angry even to look at her picture. Lily listens quietly, saying little, but her eyes betray the confusion that comes when the world stops making sense. They both ask the same question, in their own ways. Why would she do that to us? Not to me, to us. Her affair didn't just end a marriage. It cracked the foundation of our family. Last week, she came by to drop off some of Lily's clothes. I hadn't seen her since the court hearing. She looked smaller somehow, not physically, but in presence. The confidence, the light she once carried, gone. She stood at the door, box in hand, eyes darting between me and the hallway behind me, as if searching for remnants of the life she had lost. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I nodded, not for reconciliation, but for closure. She sat on the same couch where she once fell asleep watching movies beside me. "I know you hate me," she began, "but I want you to know I never meant to hurt you. I was lost. I thought I needed excitement, something different, but I ruined everything." Her voice cracked on the last word. For the first time, I saw real, raw regret instead of denial. But it was too late. "I don't hate you," I said quietly. "I just don't trust you anymore. And without trust, there's nothing left to rebuild." She cried for a while, whispering apologies I no longer had the strength to receive. When she finally left, I closed the door and lingered in the quiet she left behind. It didn't hurt like before. It just felt final. Now I write in my own journal, not to hide secrets, but to remember truths. That love without honesty is decoration. That loyalty, once broken, can't be repaired, only remembered. Sometimes I catch Lily reading at the table where her mother once confessed. Evan plays in the yard where we use the barbecue on weekends. Life continues, reshaped by pain, strengthened by lessons learned. And though my marriage ended with a diary, my peace began with it.